Hello, everybody. This is Linda Binns, and I'm here today with one of my inspiring conversations. From time to time, I meet somebody that I just want to have a further in-depth chat with, and I know that they're going to have wonderful insights and information that I want to share with people. So I'm going to introduce you now to the wonderful Jennifer Sifert. Let me just share a little bit about Jennifer. She guides spiritual seekers, healers, coaches, and soulpreneurs who struggle with addictive distractions, lack of confidence and clarity, and fear of being seen and heard. She understands these challenges and guides clients to activate their purpose, realize their power, and create prosperity by doing what they love so they can have freedom, fulfillment, vitality, success, and wealth. Jennifer is a mentor, healer, and guide, as well as CPA, blogger, podcaster, speaker, and author. Another overachiever. I love it.
Yes. Overachiever.
And just want to mention now, I'll put it in the comments afterwards, but her website, if you want to find out more, is jennifersifert.com. And just like it's spelt up there on the screen. So Jennifer, welcome. And thank you for coming to chat with me today.
Thank you, Linda. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you and talking with you. We always can roll with the conversation, and we get along fabulously that way.
Yes, we do.
And it's a mouthful. Yeah. These things like that, our purpose, the stuff that brings us together of who we are.
Yes.
All of these skills.
It is. And well, you do something that I have to be honest, I really don't know much about it. I've heard of it. Obviously, it's shamanism. You are a shaman. Mm-hmm. So could you start, if you would, by kind of explaining what is shamanism and really what does it mean to be a shaman?
So shamanism is probably one of the oldest ways of life on the planet. It keeps getting more older as we look deeper and deeper into ancient civilizations, right? And it's about connection with everything, connection with nature, with plants, animals, the sun, the moon, the cycles, the feminine and the masculine, connection and balance. And how, I call myself a shamanic practitioner because, just out of respect for the Aboriginal communities and that kind of thing, I've learned from them, the master teachers, the shamans from Peru, from Mexico, and, the ancient lineages, even in my own family, the horses, I come from a horse family, and the horses alone, they're shamans, they have this medicine about them. And so it's all about connection for me and working with, a foot in the spirit world and a foot in this world, but very grounded and being able to, navigate both worlds at the same time.
Right. And I really identify with that, seeing that connection with everything. As a feng shui practitioner, that's what we see also, the energetic connection of everything. Nothing is separate from us. Mm-hmm. And so, you affect one thing that you do affects everything. So, what led you to become a shamanic practitioner? Was there a particular moment or experience that guided you to this path?
Well, yes. So I remember being 5 years old and in the park playing and seeing my spirit guides. And they were, like cuchinas from New Mexico, dressed in the star people uniform, big headdresses. And they were talking to me and telling me, you're going to be a singer. And they were singing songs with me. Like, when you're 5 years old, your perception has not been shut down yet. Like, you're still seeing a reality, the spirit world reality. And it's about that time, I think, for me, that it started to close. It was like the very last time I remembered it being open at that age. And then them giving me some, information about who I am, what I'm going to do in my life, and what my purpose is. And then I got really confused afterwards,
Yeah.
you think you're going to be a rock star, or only to find out that later on in life, many, many years later, you'll sing healing songs. You sing healing songs with rattles and that.
Yes.
And yeah, I could sing in a band too, of course, but the real purpose of my voice and everything. And yeah, so like I knew at a young age that I had some type of a connection with shamanism and the horses. I was born into a horse racing family, and we lived in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, right downtown, right where, we always were living on native land. Well, everywhere is native land, of course, but very prominent, energetic native land. We always seemed to live on that. And I always had this connection with that spirit world that was very strong, and it was like a calling all the time. And I wasn't scared of it, and I wasn't pushing it away. I just was aware of it, that there was something there. And even if I, got sidetracked with school and being a regular, go to school, do that kind of stuff, it was always there calling me, hanging out on the side for me.
That sounds wonderful. That sounds very comforting, almost, to know that you have that. So I just wonder, did anyone try to talk you out of that? Did anyone tell you, oh, don't be silly, you're not really seeing these things, or anything like that?
I think I knew better than to share it.
Smart.
And so I became, I don't know if it was when I was 5. I feel like I might have been sharing, and I would hear, okay, just don't tell anybody. Like, keep that to yourself. Not that they didn't believe me, or they didn't they didn't think I was weird or anything. They just were like, okay, but don't tell anybody. Right. Stay small, keep it a secret. And then later on, I remember as I was growing up, I always would, I'm not necessarily the black sheep, but I'm the high achieving black sheep of the family. Everyone's like, oh, go for it, go for it, go for it. But as long as it's mainstream, I think, I would come up with different ways of looking at things. And, this was often said to me, but not intentionally, not to I'm letting my dad or somebody off the hook here. Don't be stupid. Those types of things over time, he doesn't mean I'm stupid. Right. But it's like a pattern passed down from his dad to me to, whenever you start having an idea that isn't the normal idea of how things should work, those little words of hearing them repeatedly, like energy, I'd like to hear your take on it, the energetics of words and how they imprint into you. And, okay, I better be more secretive. I better hide more. I better keep my gifts quiet.
That's so true. I had it with, the fact of being a highly sensitive person, which clearly you are too. But, people would say to me, my parents would say to me, you're just too sensitive. They would say, don't be so stupid. Don't take things so personally. Don't think about things so much, and you shouldn't feel this way or feel that way. Well, I felt what I felt. I couldn't switch it off really. Well, I did learn to switch it off. I kind of learned to shut myself down just to get through my childhood, if you like. Yeah. So words do have a lot of power. And I think as a child, they kind of chip away at your confidence and self-esteem, or they can anyway. Some people can come through it still having a strong sense of self, but I certainly didn't. And yeah, it has a deep effect on you over time.
Yeah. And I've learned a lot about words and thoughts in relationship to shamanism. So I started studying with teachers, human teachers in 2010. And I still study with them out of New Mexico. And part of what they were teaching me was we are so much more powerful than we actually realize. So like our words, everything we say is very powerful. So the self-talk, the outer talk, our thoughts are so powerful. So like when we think about other people, what we think negatively or positively about people is super powerful, and that we have to be conscious and aware. And especially if you are somebody who has the responsibility and the mastery of this wisdom or knowledge, you need to even be extra responsible and extra conscious with how you behave and how you talk and how you think about everyone else, and yourself, because it's super powerful. You can beat yourself up or you can beat other people up.
Yeah. That's so true. And it reminds me of the 4 agreements, be impeccable with your word. I don't know with, and it is so true. The words we say to ourselves and to others have incredible power, and we really have no idea. It's the energy you're putting out into the world, and it determines what you get back as well. So yeah. So did you start by being a CPA and then you went on to study shamanism?
No.
No. Okay.
I ended up becoming a CPA just by happenstance.
You could do that.
I don't know how I did it, but I originally, was a high achiever at school. I was born in, my birthday was on Sunday, actually. So, I was born in the 70s. And for me, there was no career choices that aligned with who I was. So I didn't know what to do. And I actually, I went to 1 year of university when I was 17 years old after high school. Did not work for me. It was too big. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up waitressing and working in hospitality for 10 years. Got super bored of that after a while. Became, really good at it. And I loved service. I had a great time. And then I just, I've done landscaping. I ended up, putting my dreams, my potential behind other people a lot, like helping them do their purpose and not do mine. And I ended up walking around one day at an open house at SAIT, Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. And I just said, I want to be a boss. And they said, go into business administration. And then I just ended up getting 95s in accounting. So I just thought, I might as well get into accounting.
Oh, I love that. It's such a, I work with a lot of highly sensitive people, and it's so interesting, the journeys that we have kind of to finding out what our real core purpose is and what's most important to us. Sometimes people think, well, I'm making a mistake because whatever I choose to do has to be it, and I have to stick with that the rest of my life. But I think for many of us, we have to do things and for a while and then know, okay, don't need to do that anymore, and then move into something else before we really discover what it is that we're meant to do.
Yeah. And I think I'm sure many other people have been experiencing this, but even back in 2010, when I started looking into, shamanism, working with medicine, working with teachers, I only just got my designation that year. I had gone 6 or 7 years into school, got my designation, and then it was like, okay, next.
Next.
and then I started that intensive study path, but the accounting financed it all, right? Like that income financed all of that study. And, you just kind of keep going where you're, I lost my train of thought there. I had something important to say, but I lost it.
Well, you go where you're led or guided, or and it doesn't mean that you failed at something. It means you're having. I found that all the experiences that I've had, even though they may have seemed disjointed or not connected, absolutely were all connected, and all went to leading me to where I am now.
Yeah. And shamanism is kind of like that. Somebody who, so essentially how I'm experiencing my work now is that I have a responsibility. I have gained a certain level of mastery over meditation, and expansion of consciousness. I've been working with it since I was 20 years old, so almost 30 years. And, so mastery is kind of like my thing. I like to master things and then, I'm going to master a new thing. And I teach people how to do that, like become really good. So you're consciously competent, you practice, and then you become unconsciously competent at it, right? So I'm like a discipline commitment wizard. It's kind of I take on things and I become very committed and disciplined, and I learn them. I practice them, and I get consistent, and I get it till I get it, and then it's like, I can do that in 30 seconds now. That used to take me 3 hours, maybe once before. And so I just keep growing and expanding that way. And that's how I like to teach people, is like, you can learn anything. You just have to want to do it. You just have to want to do it. And that's how you can expand and grow your purpose, is take all of your skills and then use them to consult or advise or coach, heal, teach, and make an impact and lead others, instead of, producing all the time, like always. There's what I'm noticing is like for me, because I've exited accounting and it was so, we billed by the hour. It was all around time. And, it really traps you.
Yeah.
It traps you that, you have to sit there for 8 hours at a desk job all the time. When really what I notice people doing is they would do 2 hours worth of work within 8 hours.
Right.
And I would do 16 hours worth of work in 8 hours because I wanted to get the heck out of there.
Got it.
And then now it's like, well, it's really not about that. It's more about results. It's more about results. And we have this paradigm that we're still all operating in, is like, we value productivity and how busyness is very highly valued, instead of like wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And so
that's so true.
Yeah.
Well, so talking about being a shamanic practitioner, then what are there some core practices that you use, and how do those practices help people? How do you help people with that?
Well, I lead a live guided meditation twice a week, where I really help people learn how to get into their body, like to really look inside themselves and connect and get grounded in your body, because we're so busy all the time being productive. We often are at the front of our head thinking, solving problems, figuring stuff out. And it's very tiring and exhausting because you're not actually inside your body. So one of my shamanic teachers a long time ago taught us is like, you want to be staying back here in between your ears in the back of your head, so that you're in your head. But we're constantly outside of our eyes all the time. Like, well, for example, we're always in this.
Oh yeah.
And so we don't really pay attention to ourselves as much as we think we are paying attention to ourselves. We're not paying attention to the thoughts that are running rampant. We're not paying attention to that we're feeling bad. We're just ignoring it. Okay, it'll go away. And we get into these addictive distractions that we cope, like we numb ourselves. So okay, I don't feel very well. I'm going to watch Netflix. And I'm guilty of all of this too. Like, I'm not this. How did I figure all of this out?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That's how you become an expert, because
Yeah.
you've done
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So what I've found is the easiest way, and I've been practicing this since I was 20, to curing my anxiety and worry, was to take time every day and set up my day so that I'm looking inside of myself. I'm taking care of myself. I'm noticing how I'm feeling. What thoughts am I having? And, I've done so many different ways. There's so many ways to do that. And then I just gotten really good at that. So now when I asked, how do I teach people to do this for themselves? I got guidance about, well, just do a practice twice a week where you hold space and guide people to look inside themselves, learn how to use their breath to get into their body, learn how to use their imagination to look inside, learn how to be uncomfortable, feeling uncomfortable for a few minutes, learn how to be bored and not run away for it, so I hold space twice a week in a live guided practice that it's like a work in. So that's an easy way that I help people that is, inexpensive. And what I notice is, and we did it today, it was Tuesday today, so I was leading it today. When I do my practice, when I give myself some time every day, I am super productive in without having to effort, or without having to force myself, without having to push myself, without having to grasp for things to come to me. It's like, well, this was a good day.
It's a flow, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're in a flow, and you're really attentive to your body's talking to you all the time, depending on the thoughts that you think or how you feel. It's always a sign of whether you're in the flow or you're out of it. And and I used to pride myself on how much I accomplished. I was a multitasker, and I was so proud of the fact that I could do that. And then as I started to learn more about energy and about personal growth, and I started to learn that that was not the way to be. And so as I started to let go of that, I was shocked actually at how much more I accomplished with so much less effort and more joy when I let go of the need to accomplish so much. And like you, just sort of kind of get into that flow. It's amazing.
It is. It actually saved me. Like, my daily practice, I mean, this is my line of work. So if I do it 5 days a week, I'm not saying somebody else has to do it 5 days a week.
Right.
I lead people twice a week in it. But I'm a high achiever. So back when I was an accountant, I would do it because there was so much work. I had no way of accomplishing it unless I had this kind of back pocket magic working for me. Because there was no way I was going to be able to operate in tax season and get, 2,000 hours worth of work done in 200 hours, because that's the way that career is set up, that field, that industry set up. Cram a whole bunch of work into short periods of time with deadlines and stress and all that. And my daily practice is how I got through it and how I really excelled. Like I always would, I was high up, like I was an executive, right? Like I was a 6-figure income earner and managing departments and staff and all that kind of thing. And it made me more successful at my job. But now I'm very happy that I don't have to do that. And I can focus on helping other people, learn how to be more successful at what they love to do. But before, what I learned switching careers, it's hard. It's not easy to let go of something
No, it isn't.
in the old, mainstream and take a risk. And my daily practice is still saving my life.
Yeah.
It's still helping me to stay clear and focused and to know the next step as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Oh, it's and the thing is, once you've experienced it, there's no going back. There's no way you would ever want to go back. And it is like, it's a journey, just as the more you learn. And that's why I love what you're doing, the practice twice a week. I think that's the ideal way for people to experience it, and it builds upon itself. The more you experience it, the more you want to do. And I'm very conscious. I knew this was going to be a good conversation, and I'd only planned 30 minutes for it. But so if somebody was interested in, well, maybe shamanism in particular, or, just kind of achieving their purpose or connecting with their purpose more generally, what advice would you give to them?
Well, I would say seek somebody like myself out and have a connection call with me. And just talk about what it is, because confusion is actually beneficial. To know that you're confused and that you don't know what you want is a great starting point. That's when you need to talk to somebody and let them help you navigate that, so that you can get clarity and you can get the next step on the map of which direction you want to go. Because I found that when I work with people like other teachers and masters or coaches, I get to where I want to go. But there's always sometimes that place where you get confused. And that's the time when you reach out. Because you can get confused and stay in confusion and suffer. And I know, because I did it, like I suffered a lot staying in frustration and irritation and complaining, just suffering, going to work every day, trying to figure out, how did I get out of this?
Yeah. Well, and you think that's the way it has to be, because we're told, right? That's what we're conditioned to believe.
And it's not just your work. It could be a relationship. It could be a relationship, right? So people could, we can put in the chat a link to connect with me, or, definitely on my website, you can connect with me. And the meditation, the live guided practice is in there. And it's a free 2-week trial, even to start with me.
Yeah. Well, I would encourage people, go to Jennifer's website, jennifersifert.com, and I'll put that in the comments. But go and check out her website and connect with her, and maybe try out the weekly thing that you do twice a week. So there's no excuse. You can just try it and see what your experience is. Just give it a try. I mean, it's just a better way of living. It's about learning a better way of being. Well, it's learning how to be and to stop focusing so much on doing. And the irony is that the more you're in touch with being, the more you actually can do. So that was the big surprise for me.
I know. Yeah. And you don't believe it until you experience it.
No, you can't believe it. Your mind will not believe it.
And you have to give yourself a good chance, okay, it's a 2-week trial. Well, 4 times isn't going to cut it.
Right.
You got to kind of, okay, I can do this. You got to commit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. You've taken some of the mystery away from what we might perceive shamanism to be. And really, it's another way, a very grounded, connected way of learning about yourself, connecting with yourself, and what you're here to do in the world, and to make it easier, right? To have a better quality of life, which I'm sure we all want. So, well, thank you, Jennifer, for explaining all of that to us. I've learned something today. I always love to learn something new. So, yeah, I love that you've gone from CPA and just like, oh, I just did that sort of accidentally.
I needed to make money.
Yeah. Oh, so I just
thought.
become a CPA.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to our ongoing connection and working together more, perhaps. So
Thank you so
thank
much
you.
for having me. I'm
Yes. And
grateful.
everybody check out Jennifer's website, reach out to her and try it for yourself. All right.
Great.
Thanks very much,
Thank you.
Jennifer. Bye.